So remember that documentary that I was supposed to do in Nepal back in April? Well, that might get postponed to this November, or at least somewhere around that time. And so I'm kind of running again because I have to train so I can be prepared to hike up the Himalayas. Oh, gosh, I'm out of shape. Hey, let's talk about the Canon R5. All right. Wow, well, today was a big day for Canon. Canon R5, Canon R6. So many people are like pre-ordering that camera right now, but it's a lot of money. No! Now, you're probably gonna see on your feed a lot of reaction from creators, myself included, but I just wanted to make a video talking about what I think about the Canon R5 and R6 as a Sony shooter. And so, what do I think? Bravo, Canon. Ever since the Canon 5D Mark II came out with 24p video recording, everybody jumped on that bandwagon, including me. It was awesome at the time to get cinematic-like quality from a photography camera, and Canon was the first company to actually do that, even though it was kind of an accident. But ever since Sony, Panasonic, Fuji, even Nikon stepped into the game, Canon kind of stopped innovating as those other camera companies started making cameras that appealed to a lot of creators, like myself. But after today's announcement of the Canon R5 and the R6, I have to applaud Canon for listening to their users and creating a product that actually innovates once again. Now, I know like all of you have geeked out over the specs, like I totally did. I mean, 8K, 4K 120 for the R5, but I'm gonna say something that's gonna stir the pot, so let me just be clear. The Canon R5 and R6 don't matter. They don't. I literally just made a video talking about this, but when it comes to storytelling as a whole, it doesn't matter what kind of camera you shoot with. I mean, if you are a good filmmaker, a good storyteller, and you have a 720p camera, then you're gonna tell great stories with a 720p camera. But if you're not a good filmmaker, if you're not a good storyteller at all, getting an 8K camera is not gonna make you a better storyteller, if that makes sense. So it's gonna depend on the creative scope of a project, but if the Canon R5 or R6 is gonna be a camera, a tool that's gonna help you tell better stories, then by all means, get the camera. But again, let me just be clear, when it comes to storytelling as a whole, it doesn't matter what kind of camera you shoot with. Your creativity should not be predicated on what a camera can do for you, but what you can do with a camera. So I hope that's clear. Still gonna prepare for the troll comments. So there's that, just wanted to put that out there, but as a Sony shooter, what do I think of the Canon R5 and R6? I think they're great. I think it's great what Canon is doing and listening to their users and creating products that's once again innovative. And announcements like this only make me more excited to see what other camera companies are going to do. Like, I'm very curious to see what Sony's response is. Will the A7S III blow our minds like Sony promised? I don't know, it's gonna be hard to beat the specs on the R5, so we'll have to see what happens. But again, these are just cameras to help us tell our stories. It's totally okay to be excited and geek out over the latest and greatest, like I geek out all the time, but you have to be totally content as a creative, as a filmmaker, as a storyteller, to tell the stories you wanna tell with any camera. Like take for example, a master storyteller like Peter McKinnon. Like give him a Canon T2i, you could bet your bottom dollar that you could bet your butt dollar that he can tell a great story with a Canon T2i. But now give him a camera like the Canon R5, now you have the combination of a master storyteller and an amazing camera. You can bet your bottom butt dollar that he would make amazing content. So again, if you're not a very good storyteller and you upgrade to an 8K camera, that camera is not gonna make you a better storyteller. In fact, there's this comment from my last video talking about this very thing from James Baxter, and he says, content over gear. Let's face it, a crap film in 8K is still crap. An amazing film in 720p is still amazing. So true. So again, when it comes to storytelling as a whole, doesn't matter what camera you use. But with that aside, let's go ahead and talk about the Canon R5 and R6. We're just gonna go over some of the specs. We're not gonna go over everything because I'm sure you've done that already. But just to sum up some of the key specs from both cameras, they are the following. With the R5, you get to shoot 8K video up to 30 frames a second raw and 4K video up to 120 frames a second. With the R6, you get to shoot 4K video up to 60 frames a second. Still pretty awesome. Both cameras shoot C-Log, HLG, and PQ HDR. Touchscreen, of course, and both cameras supporting 2 card card slots, with the R5 supporting a CF Express card slot and an SD card slot, with the R6 just supports 2 SD card slots. Now when it comes to those specs, very impressive, and I don't know if Sony is going to match those specs or exceed it. It's going to be very hard to compete with the R5, but again, we'll have to see. But I think the specs on both cameras are very impressive, both at different price points, but I also think at price points that are very fair. With the R5, you're looking at $4 grand for just the body alone, and for the R6, you're looking at $2,500 for the body alone. And you might think, wow, that's pretty expensive, but the specs in both cameras are pretty serious. And if you're getting a camera like the R5 and you're shooting professional work like documentaries and client work and weddings and stuff like that, then what you get out of a small camera like that to shoot professional gigs like that, I think is a fair price point. Same thing with the R6 that don't have the same specs as the R5. For $2,500, that's a lot of camera for the price. So in terms of value per dollar, I think the price points for both cameras seem fair. And I can only hope that when Sony announces the A7S III, that they would price it at a competitive price. But again, we'll have to see. Anyway, those are my thoughts on the A7S III. Canon R5 and R6. Sorry, I'm just a little anxious for the A7S III now. But those are my thoughts on the Canon R5 and R6. What do you think? Would you get the R5? Would you get the R6? Do you agree? Gear doesn't matter. But anyway, just wanted to make a video sharing my thoughts, and yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts as well. Anyway, got 2 more videos to film today, so I gotta get on that, including a video for tomorrow. But hey, thanks for watching. Thumbs up if you like this video, subscribe if you haven't, hit the bell so that you get notified of upcoming videos, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.